Let's change gears now and look ahead to May the 29th. The Independent Electoral Commission is taking stock of its performance as the country marks 30 years of democracy this coming Saturday. Now, this as the body ramps up preparations for next month's provincial and national elections. Well, for more on the record of the most important institutions in our country, we're joined now by the IEC Commissioner, Judge Dhaya Pillay. Judge Pillay, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. 27 April is observed as South Africa's Freedom Day, and the IEC, having played a significant role in ushering in this democracy back in 1994, for the IEC, what will Saturday mean for you as the electoral body?
Good evening, Xoli, and to the viewers. Thank you for having the IEC on your platform. Of course, it's a celebration for the IEC, as it is for all South Africans, democracy-loving South Africans, that we've reached this milestone 30 years down the line, with free and fair elections having been held on to establish six administrations over this period, that we can be proud of the fact that we've had elections that have not been set aside, that we have not been plagued by coups as many other African countries have been, that our elections have not been set aside as has happened in other parts of Africa, and that we have today a very vibrant democracy with an extraordinary number of political parties and independent candidates registered and all excited to take part in the next round of elections to establish the seventh administration.
Yeah. Well, keeping in mind this unblemished record you speak about of the IEC, opinion makers say, unlike in previous elections, this year's polls will possibly be the toughest test for the IEC. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I think every year we've said that, and yes, it gets tougher all the time. Not least because the logistics have been escalated, and the fact that we have many more contesting parties, and for the first time, we will be having independent candidates. The contestation is also evident in the many court cases that we had, and we are humbled to say that our systems have actually withstood the test and the scrutiny by the courts when political parties have challenged our systems, our technology, and said that they were flawed. The court came on our side and found that there was nothing flawed in our systems, and we scored an 11-0 victory in that round of litigation, which enabled us to get on with the ballot.
The electoral majority of the ANC, Justice Pillay, is speculated to be in jeopardy. Why am I going this route? I want to ask you this question. Does that make the upcoming elections the most consequential for the IEC, you think?
Well, we just do our job. And whoever wins, whoever scores the highest number of votes, that party will be the majority party, or obviously, if that party is the ANC, well done, and it secures that victory. However, it's not our business to say who that party would be and how the votes should be distributed to allow this or that party to become a majority. Certainly, looking at the political landscape objectively, this is what the contestation is about, the speculation about who would be the majority party going forward. And our business is not to speculate, but just to get our act together, get our technology together, the mechanics, the logistics, and make sure that we are not faulted for the results in any way. And that's exactly what has held us in good stead over the past 30 years. We stick to our knitting, we remain impartial and unbiased, and we deliver the goods. And the only goods that we deliver is the election results, properly counted votes, and identify the winning candidates and political parties.
Yeah. One of the IEC's important tasks is to enforce the rules of the electoral game. That also means ensuring that disputes are resolved. And so, here is the question. You've got to remind us what the key motivator was for the IEC to take to the Constitutional Court former President Jacob Zuma's candidature, because that's the next big case that is about to be heard.
Well, as you know, Xoli, I recused myself from that case and from that dispute and objection that was lodged with the IEC, precisely because I was one of the judges in the Constitutional Court who was instrumental in issuing the judgment that was the subject of the objection and the interpretation of the law. But let me talk about dispute resolution in general. Yes, it is the business of the Electoral Commission to resolve disputes efficiently and as soon as possible. And we must be proud also of the fact that we have courts, the Electoral Court and the Constitutional Court, and also the High Courts when they are approached, to deliver judgments expeditiously and in time for us to get our act together and keep the election train running without interruption.
Yeah.
So our dispute resolution system is certainly functioning optimally, and we should be proud of it.
Yeah. Perhaps as a final question, the IEC, having developed this reputation for being an effective electoral management body, talk to us about the quality of elections under the IEC's management and why it is that this is seldom challenged. If this year, however, becomes something different, where a political party does raise a dispute, do you think that might tarnish the image of this body?
Well, it depends on what the dispute is. And what I can say is that is precisely because of the political contestation, it is the IEC that must steady the course and to be objective and to ensure that disputes are processed in the proper way. And this year we've had the highest number of contestations pre the ballot process, contestation about candidates. And so in preparation for the next phase, we must anticipate that there would be further contestations. And we do hope that they would proceed through the courts, not through the barrel of any gun, not through violence, not to demonstrations and threats of violence, either against the commissioners or the its staff and other political parties or vulnerable people. The contestation must be properly channeled through the courts, through the administration, And to that end, we've also established a panel of mediators. We have a panel of lawyers who are ready to take care of any disputes that may arise. It is highly stressful and pressured. And we do our best to ensure that we don't make mistakes. But of course, in as much as we are reliant on our technology, we are also reliant on our people. And as you know, wherever there is a human hand, the possibility of mistakes happening, only because we're human, is there. So we will have to manage that as best we can when the situation arises.
Yeah, you prompt the question of violence. I was willing to let you go, but I will squeeze in this final one. How confident are you about the capabilities, the abilities of South Africa's law enforcement to ensure that there is a smooth election? The question of violence has indeed been a topic that the public has been, I think, almost obsessed with, particularly in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Are you confident that the police will get a handle on this and indeed things will be done speedily, including using our courts?
Well, as we do, as we have done in past elections, we've collaborated and we are in conversation with the security establishment. An interministerial task team has been set up for the different role players that make elections work to come together and to ensure that each institution, each department plays its role efficiently and effectively. We have had an unprecedented arrangement with the enforcement authorities in KwaZulu-Natal specifically, and we are so pleased to say that the launch of the code signing ceremony in KwaZulu-Natal was addressed by the judge president of the province, the head of prosecutorial services, and the commissioner of police. And that was such a wonderful lineup and a show of force and determination that we will manage with our partners in these institutions to ensure that in KwaZulu-Natal, where there seems to be much anxiety about violence, that the courts and the police and prosecutorial services and we ourselves are ready to manage any trouble that arises.
Yeah.
Of course, as you know, we're not an enforcement agency in that sense.
Judge Pillay, you're going to have to forgive me for this. I genuinely want to let you go. But another question has sprung up. You know, the president warned a little earlier this year, given South Africa's stance on geopolitics, or let me be specific and say in the wars that are going on, whether between Russia and Ukraine or in the Middle East, Israel versus Hamas. And he said, do not be fooled to think that there will not be comebacks. I'm paraphrasing him here. And he almost mentioned that there could be the specter of interference, possible interference with our elections. I want to ask you this question, whether the IEC is confident that its systems will not be manipulated or rigged in order to produce a particular outcome.
We have firewalls for firewalls for firewalls. So it's multi-layered checks and balances. We have hard copies and soft copies. We have them distributed in various centers. And yes, of course, we're mindful of the threat of invasion of our systems. And we've taken maximum precaution to ensure that these technologies and our systems are safeguarded. And of course, you'll understand, I can't say much more, not that I know any very much more, because it is a very sensitive area of our work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think we are assured. Thank you very much for your time and indeed making us feel comfortable that the IEC is on top of the issues here. Judge Dhaya Pillay is the IEC Commissioner.